jana balava girirvaradhari Yashodha Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodha Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chana Baba Girivaradhari Jana Balava Gopi Chana Balava Girivaradhari Yashodha Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodha Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodha Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajak Acharya Ashtotera Sita Shri Srimadis Divine Grace Avoid Sharanara Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivraj Acharya Ashtotera Sita Shri Srimadis Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Jai Iskan BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Pramsikaho Sri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu-Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadāgraja Shivashari Gaur Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai Shri Radha Kṛṣṇa Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Navaditam Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Shamaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Pramanandi. All glories to the assembled devotee. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti-vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sanyavari Paschachadasatarine. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 52, texts 38, 39, and 40. And in these texts, Rukmini is explaining to Kṛṣṇa why she's qualified to be his wife. And it will bring up some interesting points, whether we should do the same thing. Tell Kṛṣṇa why we're qualified. I'll let you meditate on that. And I will read verse 38 and 39, and then we can chant verse 40 together. Kata mukunda mahati kula shila rupa vidyavayo dravina damma tulyam diraputim kalavatina pranita kanya kale nrsinganaralokamano pidamam. Translation, O Mukunda, you are equal only to yourself in lineage, character, beauty, knowledge, youthfulness, wealth, and influence. O lion among men, you delight the minds of all mankind. What aristocratic, sober-minded, and marriageable girl of a good family would not choose you as her husband when the proper time has come? Sometimes when a woman couldn't find a husband or a husband left a woman, Prabhupada said, you should make Kṛṣṇa your husband. Which I think, for some of you, you're thinking, that sounds impractical. Right? But Prabhupada said it on different occasions. And yesterday, or the day before, the day before yesterday, some of you know this Mataji named Chitra. How many of you know her? Chitra? She lives at Keshigarh, and she lives in a tent with her deities. And she was telling us, I said, well, what are your deities? What's the rasa? She said, he's my husband and he tells me how much he loves me. And so she's going on that and like how much love he has for her and how much she has for him. So then I was telling the devotees, I said, we've heard this, Prabhupada say, ladies, if your husband leaves you, make Kṛṣṇa your husband, but we never really saw it to that degree. So I was telling the devotees, it's one thing to read it and it's another thing to see it. Because when you see it, it makes a deep impression. So she actually has this relation with Kṛṣṇa where she fully feels that he is her husband. And so I said, well, what does he tell you? She said, he tells me, your past, your present, and your future, give it all to me. Don't worry, just give it to me, and everything will be fine. And that's what she does. So I was remembering when Mahaprabhu manifested Mahabhav, his spiritual master said something like, the spiritual master was quite impressed and amazed and happy. And he said, we've read about it, but we've never seen it. Like, here's Mahabhav, here are the symptoms in Shastra, you read about it. He said, but we never saw anybody who had it, and so finally, with you, we see it. So it's interesting, isn't it? Like when you read about it, it's one thing, but when you see it, it makes an impression. So we saw Chitra, if you go down to Keshigarh, there's a little tent there, and what does she have? I forgot all the deities she has. She has like 3 or 4. And that way you can see her. So it's nice to see it in action. What you read about, you see in action, it makes a much deeper impression. Yeah. So now, text 39. Tanme bhavan karo brita patirangajayam atma pitascha bhavato travibo videhi mavhirya bhagam abhimarshatu chaidya arhad kamaya vanmrigapate balim ambujhaksha. Therefore, my dear Lord, I have chosen you as my husband, and I surrender myself to you. Please come swiftly, O Almighty One, and make me your wife. My dear lotus-eyed Lord, let Shishupal never touch the hero's portion like a jackal stealing the property of a lion. And today's verse, so we can chant this together. Pūrteṣṭa-datta-niyama. Wait. It's hard for me to see this, right? I have to read it from here. Pūrteṣṭa-datta-niyama-vrata-deva-vipra. gurv-arcanādibhir alaṁ bhagavān pareśaḥ. ārādhito yadi gada-agrajaḥ etya pāṇiṁ. gṛhṇātu me damaghoṣa-sutādayo nādu me damaghoṣa. It's a little tricky. We'll try again. pūrteṣṭa-datta-niyama-vrata-deva-vipra. gurv-arcanādibhir alaṁ bhagavān pareśaḥ. ārādhito yadi gada-agrajaḥ etya pāṇiṁ. gṛhṇātu me damaghoṣa-sutāyo gṛhṇātu me damaghoṣa-suta. I think it should be damaghoṣa-sutāyo sutadayo. Yeah, anyway, you try it.
pūrteṣṭa-datta-niyama-vrata-deva-vipra. pūrteṣṭa-datta-niyama-vrata-deva-vipra. arcanādibhir alaṁ bhagavān pareśaḥ. ārādhito yadi gada-agrajaḥ etya pāṇiṁ.
ārādhito yadi gada-agrajaḥ etya pāṇiṁ. You have to do it like this. gṛhṇātu me damaghoṣa-sutādayo. That's the best I can do. Maybe someone can do better. pūrteṣṭa-datta-niyama-vrata-deva-vipra. gurv-arcanādibhir alaṁ bhagavān pareśaḥ. ārādhito yadi gada-agrajaḥ etya pāṇiṁ. Anameda damaghoṣa-sutādayo. Niyama-vrata-deva-vipra. Let's see if the ladies can do better. Now they're afraid. Competition. pūrteṣṭa-datta-niyama-vrata-deva-vipra. gurv-arcanādibhir. ārādhito yadi gada-agrajaḥ etya pāṇiṁ. Word meanings. When I was a young devotee, I wrote Prabhupada. I had an interest in Sanskrit, or some interest. I had some ability for language, and I asked him, can I learn Sanskrit? And he said, if you have time, but it's not that important. So if your Sanskrit isn't perfect, then it's okay. When Prabhupada gave Jayananda Gayatri, he gave up trying, because Jayananda couldn't explain it. Is that the story? Either Prabhupada was laughing or Prabhupada gave up and said, you're so sincere, Kṛṣṇa's like. And one time a man told Prabhupada, all your disciples, they pronounce the Maha Mantra. They don't pronounce it right. And Prabhupada said, yeah, but Kṛṣṇa knows who they're calling. So it's, it's all about trying. As I often say, most devotees don't even know how to pronounce their name properly in Sanskrit. Hare Krishna. Sometimes their gurus don't know how to pronounce their name properly in Sanskrit. So this is certainly a movement of a lot of mercy. Right? And all the Indian devotees know that when we mispronounce our names. They know. Right? It must be funny for you. Right? So if any Indian sees me, they go, Mahatma. Mahatma. Dash. Anyway. If I have sufficiently worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead by pious works, sacrifices, charity, rituals, and vows, and also by worshipping the demigods, brāhmaṇas, and gurus, then may gada-agrajaḥ come and take my hand, and not Damaghoṣa's son or anyone else. In other words, she's saying, she's kind of saying, I have done all these things. She's being humble and saying, if I have done these things, then that would make me qualified. And so let him pick me because I have a good, what do you call that? When you apply for a job? Resume. I have a good resume, yeah. That's basically what she's saying. I think I have the best resume for your wife. Purport. The Acharyas comment as follows on this verse. Rukmini felt that no one could obtain Lord Kṛṣṇa by the efforts of a single lifetime. Therefore, she earnestly pointed out the pious activities she had performed in that life and previous lives, hoping to convince Sri Kṛṣṇa to come. Namo Vishnupadaya Kṛṣṇa pṛṣṭaya bhūtale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sanyavari Pushchatya Satarine Mukam Karuti Vachalam Pango Langayate Girim Yakrapa Tamaham Bande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Bansha Kalpa Turubhascha Kripashindu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Śrīvāśari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. I think we have a controversy going in this verse. And if you're a bona fide devotee, you must like controversy, right? Yes? No? Maybe. And sometimes when there was controversy, we would many of us would get very upset. Two devotees have different opinions, or what to speak of two acharyas with different ideas. And when it would go to Prabhupada, it didn't upset him at all. It's like, yeah, the spiritual world is big enough for more than one idea. We just have to have one idea. Of course, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's not two ideas there. But he has different forms and different ways to understand him, right? So, in the Upanishad, that verse where the devotee prays, I, leaving my body, remember what I've done. Krishna, remember all those books I distributed, all the cold showers I took, all those crowded brahmacharya ashrams on the floor I slept without a mat, and all those temples I managed and the devotees that had problems that I had to deal with. Like, do we do that? That's the question. Do we do that? Do we show Krishna we're qualified? And then, as we know, Prabhupada quoted Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, and he said, don't try to see Krishna, but Krishna should see you. So, should we remind Krishna, just in case you forgot? I've written it down here and put it on the altar. Should we do that? Raise your hand if you think we should do that. Only one's going to do it. One devotee asked Prabhupada, he said, Srila Prabhupada, what if I forget Krishna at the time of death? And Prabhupada said, if you've served Krishna your entire life and you forget him, he'll remember you because you've attracted his attention, right? And so we have seen with Srila Prabhupada how much obliged and grateful he was for the service that his devotees rendered. What to speak of the huge sacrifices they made to please him. And he never forgot it. There are several stories when sannyasis who were leaders in the movement, who had very responsible positions, actually both of the stories I know, they were GBCs and sannyasis, and they were unable to maintain sannyas. Anyone who can maintain sannyas, my dandavats 1,000 times. It's so amazing. Prabhupada, you know that letter where Prabhupada said, wartime commission, we're making sannyasis, but the privates, during war, the privates become lieutenants because you don't have enough. So he said, so rank and file become sannyasis, but when there's war, there's casualties. So most of the sannyasis that Prabhupada made did not make it. At least half didn't make it or more. And so these were an example of two that didn't make it. And they came back to Prabhupada sometime later, as I understand the story, maybe a year later, and obviously feeling very embarrassed to be in front of Prabhupada. And you could imagine feeling like Prabhupada would reject them. You gave up sannyas. You left your position of GBC and you gave up sannyas. And it was exactly the opposite when Prabhupada saw them. He was happy to see them, happy to engage them. So you'll take up your service now? What do you want to do like that? And then they said, but Prabhupada, you're not rejecting me. And Prabhupada said, how can I reject you? You've done so much service. I cannot forget that service. So Prabhupada is just representing Krishna's mood, and that's Krishna's mood. And Krishna remembers that. Yes, whatever we do. Sometimes we don't. We're not convinced, or we don't know, we don't feel it. But Tamal Krishna Maharaj had a dream once. He was in the hospital, and he had a dream when he was having surgery under anesthesia. And there was a big kirtan party. You remember that dream? You know that story? Anybody remember? The details are foggy. But there was a kirtan party, and there were the devotees and then the non-devotees. And he was asking some question to Prabhupada. He said in the dream, like all the devotees were liberated. They went back to Godhead. And he asked Prabhupada something like, is that true? And Prabhupada said, yeah, their names are already written down in the book, back to Godhead, going back to Godhead. Like they're all the devotees, they're always going back to Godhead, right? So there's this beautiful story that Mula Prakriti tells. It's very, very touching and it's very inspiring. So there was a man who asked Srila Prabhupada, as many people did, can you see Kṛṣṇa? And every time I know that Prabhupada was asked that question, he gave a different answer, depending on the person. But in this instance, Prabhupada just said yes. Sometimes he didn't say yes. One time he had a picture of Paramatma on the cover of a new volume of Bhagavatam. So when the man said, can you see Kṛṣṇa? Prabhupada said, yes, Kṛṣṇa's right here on the cover of Bhagavatam, you can see also. So that's the way he chose. And the one time he said, what if I tell you I can see? What is that? Will you believe me? And what does that do for you? But this time, he told the man, he said, yes, I can see. And then he asked the man, can you see? And the man said, no. And then Mula Prakriti was there. And Prabhupada said, can you see? And she said, no, Prabhupada. I can't see Kṛṣṇa. And she said, Prabhupada, with so much bhav, so much affection, he said, I want to show you Kṛṣṇa. Isn't that beautiful? And so when I heard that, I thought, wow, you have a spiritual master, or you have a grand spiritual master that wants to show you Kṛṣṇa. That's good, right? And so you make a little effort, and your spiritual master says, yes, I want to show you Kṛṣṇa when you become qualified. So I was thinking about this because Rukmini is saying, here are my qualifications, and naturally we don't say that to Kṛṣṇa. Give me your mercy, I'm so qualified. I have a PhD in religion. Give me your mercy. From Harvard, not just any old university. I deserve your mercy. We don't say that. We're pretty much the opposite, aren't we? And so, when I heard this story, I thought, this is amazing. When Prabhupada came here and established this temple, basically, he was opening up Vrindavan to us and giving us Vrindavan. Because what do we know about Vrindavan? We didn't know. He gave us Mayapur, he gave us the deity, he gave us the holy name, he gave us Srimad Bhagavatam, he gave us so many things by which Kṛṣṇa can be revealed, and he wants to reveal it to us. Isn't that nice? Like, Srila Prabhupada is waiting to reveal Kṛṣṇa to us. And like, all we have to do is become a little qualified. That's all. A little purified, and then he'll show us Kṛṣṇa. What do you think? We were giving the other night, we were giving a class on self-care, and often when I give classes, I get clarity by giving them over and over again. So I was thinking how sometimes devotees feel like, I'm not getting the mercy, maybe my guru doesn't like me, maybe Kṛṣṇa doesn't like me, maybe Kṛṣṇa doesn't love me. And I said, no. That's not the problem. They're giving the mercy, but you're not giving yourself the mercy. Maybe Kṛṣṇa doesn't like me. Maybe you don't like yourself. Maybe that's the problem. Like, you get the mercy, but you don't do anything with it. So sometimes we make Kṛṣṇa the enemy, right? He doesn't love me. I'm not getting the mercy. No. And then, we sleep in and schnick, and, overeat, and, and Kṛṣṇa must not love me. No. I think you don't love yourself. That's the problem. Kṛṣṇa is loving you. So, when you give someone prasadam, you can't make them eat. Can you? They have to eat it. You can cook a beautiful meal. So Prabhupada's cooking this beautiful meal for us, but he can't make us eat it, right? So I've thought for many years that there's a problem in our thinking. And the problem in our thinking is we want mercy, but we all want mercy. You know what it's like? It's like I serve you a plate, it's like this high and this wide, and then you say, is there anything else you have that you can give me? I said, but you haven't eaten that. Yeah. Do you have anything else? So we're always asking for mercy, but we haven't even taken the mercy we've been given, right? Prabhu, can you give me mercy? Hello, you got 80 volumes of mercy sitting on your shelf. When was the last time you ate that? Oh, that's a good point, Prabhu. Oh, okay, there's this funny story. Radhanath Swami gave a normal class for him, 3 hours. Nobody gets hungry during his classes. There's so much nectar, right? And I was told this story. After class, some devotee came up to say, Maharaj, can you give me your mercy? He said, what do you think I just did for the last 3 hours? So it's like, think about it, right? So I like to tell devotees, be merciful on yourself. That's the person you need the most mercy from is yourself. Give it to yourself. Because you're already given the mercy, give it to yourself, right? A devotee wrote me yesterday something that I think we can relate to this verse, which I think is really important. So when I was in Pune, we gave some japa workshops in different temples. And I was telling the devotees that the goal of japa is not to chant 16 rounds. That sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? Well, aren't we supposed to chant 16? Yeah, of course. But the goal isn't to get your rounds done. The goal is to beg for mercy, be open for mercy, pray for mercy. And so I asked the devotees, when you are in distress, do you chant good rounds? And everybody said, yes. I said, why? Because my need is greater. The emotion is stronger. So I pray more strongly, more deeply. There's more feeling. I'm in distress. Kṛṣṇa, I need your help. I need it right now. I'm going through a difficult situation. So this devotee wrote me, he said, that makes sense, but what about when I'm not in distress? How do I get that? So I think we can answer this question and tie it into what we're talking about. So I was thinking about his question, and I was chanting in front of Prabhupada. And I was remembering Jaiva Dharma. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, Bhakti is made of three things. It's made of compassion, it's made of humility, and you mix those two together, you get forgiveness. So it's made of compassion, humility, and forgiveness. And I thought, how much compassion do I have? How much humility do I have? How much forgiveness? I need more. Yes? You need more? Any of you need more humility? Like there's a Bengali bhajan. This devotee was attracted to, when he heard about Mahaprabhu, he said, I want to join this movement. It's so beautiful, it's so wonderful. And then he read the third verse of Shishastakam Trinadapi, and he said, forget it. I can't do that. So if you understand what humility is, which basically means that you feel everyone's better than you, and you don't want any respect for yourself, and you want to give everyone respect. If you just meditate on that, you realize, I don't have that. Do I need that? Yeah. Yesterday I was thinking, Nityananda's mercy, how do you get it? Humility. You got to be humble. You got to feel yourself genuinely humble. Not that I'm trying to be somebody. You have to feel yourself humble. Then he gives mercy because Kṛṣṇa doesn't like proud devotees. Just go through Bhagavatam and CC and you'll see. Every time the devotee is proud, it's like, Kṛṣṇa's like, boom. We have to chastise you and humble you again. Kṛṣṇa likes devotees who are humble, yes? And he doesn't like devotees who are proud. So I was just thinking like that this morning, and how that's like an essence. And I was thinking, I don't have that, but I want it. But, so what do I do? So I thought, okay, here's the answer to this devotee's question. He said, you know, when I'm in distress, I feel that emotion, I want to pray. So I think, okay, I'm going to write him back and say, are you humble? Do you have humility? And of course, if he's humble, he'll say no. And if let's say, if he's honest, he'll say no. Do you need humility? Yes. How much do you need it? Think about how much you need it. Do you need it a lot? Yeah, because humility is everything. How can you chant if you're not humble? How can we advance if we're not humble? So if we think about it, yeah, I really need it, right? So what do I do when I chant? I don't think, I'm so humble, I'm so qualified. We're praying, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Please make me humble. So then I went to compassion. You like compassion, like Prabhuji. If Kṛṣṇa would allow you to suffer unlimited lifetimes of the sins of all the people in this universe, would you line up for that seva? Because that's what compassion is, isn't it? Wow, you know. You never see a devotee, they're suffering, you kind of feel like I would like to eliminate their suffering and take their suffering on my shoulder. And then I think, I don't know. Let me think about it. You know, they're suffering a lot. You know, that's compassion, right? Thakur does, you know. You're going to suffer for beating me. That's not good. I don't want to see you suffer. So compassion is you can't tolerate the suffering of another person. How much compassion do I have? Maybe a little bit. I mean, I like to help devotees, you know, up to a point. But at a certain point, it's like sometimes it's like, this is too much, you know. I got to get away. I need my space. You know that story? It's like 9 o'clock at night. Prabhupada's in Mexico and they say, Srila Prabhupada, we just got a slot on this television show, but we're going to have to leave like 10 o'clock at night to do it, and we won't get back till 2 in the morning. Prabhupada said, so how many people will be watching? They said, Srila Prabhupada, about 4 million. It's the biggest show in Mexico. Prabhupada said, we're going. But Prabhupada, you won't be able to take prasadam and you go to bed late. And Prabhupada said, if I thought about my own convenience, there'd be no Hare Kṛṣṇa movement. So, you know, we know Prabhupada's compassion, translating to the last day. So I was thinking, do I have compassion? Maybe a little bit. Prabhupada, please help me become compassionate. I'm not qualified. I don't have the qualifications of pure devotional service. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. So some of you may know that Vaisheshika Prabhu, when he goes on Sankirtan, distributes books, he asks everyone, whether they take a book or not, can you chant this mantra? You know, gives them a mantra card. So most people say, what does it mean? And he says, it means, I need help. And then he asks them, do you need help? And they all say, yes. And I say, good, chant this mantra. So, it means I need help. I need help with blank. With what? Well, what do you need help with right now? This morning I was thinking I need help with humility and compassion. I need help with so many things. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was asked, what does humility mean in relation to chanting the holy name? He gave a beautiful explanation, which we can take on in our own chanting, which is basically what I'm explaining. But he said, if you think about the distance you are between where you are now and prema, it's pretty far, isn't it? You ever think about prema and you think, No. Maybe nishta, maybe ruchi, it's like you gotta climb up the stairs to go to Tirupati, and it's like 8 miles of stairs, and you're looking at it, like, I don't know if I can do that, and your friend says, just take the next step. Go for the next step, right? Or it's like Purijan Prabhu says, just hear one mantra, one mantra, then worry about the next one after that, not 16 rounds. So this idea, prema, is like so far. So what does it mean to chant in humility? He said the devotee thinks that it is so difficult to achieve pure love of Kṛṣṇa. And he looks at that and he thinks, I can't do this alone, it's impossible. So when he chants, he said he's praying to Kṛṣṇa, help me develop love. And that helplessness is his humility. I cannot do this on my own. Humility is helplessness. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But I think there's another thing that's really important, that sometimes we miss this. And it goes back to the first thing I was saying. I believe it's very important when we pray like that to feel that Kṛṣṇa will reciprocate with us because we have a desire for it. We should have that confidence that if I want this humility, this compassion, whatever it is I want, and I'm asking Kṛṣṇa for it, I want prema and I'm asking Kṛṣṇa for it, I should have confidence, it's not pride, it's confidence in Kṛṣṇa that he will give it if I want it, if I really desire it, if it's something that is important to me, more important than anything else. I should have confidence that Kṛṣṇa will give it. Because so many times devotees say, Kṛṣṇa's not reciprocating with me. Right? So this is what Kṛṣṇa is reciprocating with. I have to do a little demonstration for entertainment's sake, but it will make my point better than if I tell you. Okay. This is what this is, how do I say this? This is what you're giving Kṛṣṇa to reciprocate with, which is why you think he's not reciprocating with it. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. I say, Prabhu, do you feel a little bit like this? Yeah, I don't feel Kṛṣṇa is reciprocating with me. I feel so down. He's not reciprocating. I go, no, he is reciprocating. Listen to how you chant. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Perfect reciprocation. What do you feel when you chant? I don't feel much. Perfect reciprocation. Yes? And as soon as you chant and you pray, Kṛṣṇa, please help me with whatever that is you need help with, and you focus on it and you really you will feel this confidence. Yes, I can feel this faith that Kṛṣṇa will give me this. So whatever we want, if we pray for it helplessly, with faith that Kṛṣṇa will give it, you will feel it and you will see it. Otherwise, it's impossible to become humble, to become compassionate, right? But there's another thing also. If we're just trying, we get so much mercy just for trying. Even if we can't do it perfectly, I'm going to try to be humble. You ever try to be humble? How did that go? You ever try not to criticize? He's like, that's it. I heard a class, I'm not going to criticize anybody. It's over, right? Did you ever do one of those? And it lasted, how long did it last? Till breakfast usually, right? Maybe on a good day till lunch, right? So Prabhupada's mood is, you try. If you try, you have my mercy. I have your back covered, you just have to try. So if you never become as humble as Thakur Haridas, it's okay. You just try. And you know when Prabhupada said 16 rounds and 4 principles, you go back to God. So many devotees were there when Prabhupada said it. And Prabhupada would say something like, 16 rounds, good rounds, 4 principles. He said, you do that, it is done. back to God, it is done. It's like I said this, you do it, it's done. So I think in the same way, when we pray sincerely and try, it's done. Prabhupada will do it. That's my belief. And so Rukmini is in a different category to show her qualification because she's qualified. But we can show our sincerity and our heart, and that's what Kṛṣṇa wants. So I think we can stop here and take comments and questions. Yes, we have a microphone.
If I'm sincere with myself,
yes,
after 50 years, I realize I don't want Krishna's mercy. Because I'm not mature enough to take the responsibility of that mercy. It's like you want to be in charge of a company. That's nice because you have privileges.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of responsibility that's going to come with that.
Yeah.
And if you're not qualified, you're not going to make it. So that's my problem.
Yeah, that's a good point. Anyone else have that problem? Well, you're the only one. Amazing. You must be more advanced than all of us.
I'm number one.
Yeah. Well, I could elaborate on that problem. That is, that's a problem. Our godbrother Shrutadev, who called me at 3:30 this morning to wake me up from America, he said that he had read or heard that a devotee asked Prabhupada, why doesn't Kṛṣṇa give us love of God? Prabhupada said, you can't handle it now. You're not mature enough. You're like, your cup would explode. And he said something really interesting. He said, if Kṛṣṇa gave you, it is hard to understand this exactly, but we can get the gist. If Kṛṣṇa gave you love, you'd become proud. I'm the only devotee in ISKCON who has love. Wow, isn't that interesting? Like you couldn't handle it, so he has to give it according to your need. But this is a problem. I would like to be humble, but if you praise me, I like it. Anyone have that problem? It's the wrong question. Anybody not have that problem? Yeah. Okay. Now we got 100% buy-in. Yeah. Now there's so many things. I really would like to be austere, but I have one problem. I don't like austerity. You just go down the list. I really like to be sense control. I only have one problem. I don't like to do it. I could tell you my own journey in this area. Well, it happened yesterday during Kirtan in the temple. It was like Nityananda's mercy was like flowing, And I was just I was chanting, and sometimes, Maharaj, you ever have the experience? You're chanting and it's like it's not you chanting anymore. It's like somebody else's, like you're just kind of listening to it. And it was kind of like that yesterday, So when we were we did the Sadhu Sangha in Mexico. I don't know what he probably told you, but Sri Prahlad led this kirtan. And I don't know what happened and how it happened, and I talked to him about it, but everyone went into like a state of ecstasy. It was just like one of the most amazing kirtans ever. And I was looking at him and noticing that he was quite amazed himself. You could ask him about that kirtan in Mexico. And I asked him, the next day I said, that kirtan was really special. It's like, yeah, I was kind of like amazed by it. So when you have those experiences, then you start to think, okay, I don't think I can handle it, but Prabhupada could give me the qualification to handle it because I'm stepping out a little bit. I mean, I have that experience because I was made temple president when I was a young devotee. That was like, Kṛṣṇa help. Like every morning, wake up, Kṛṣṇa help. And Prabhupada actually wrote me a letter and he said, yeah, that's how you run the temple. You just wake up every day and say, Kṛṣṇa, you have to help me do this, otherwise the temple's going to fall apart. It was basically what Prabhupada said. So I had that training early on, and then I thought, okay, it seemed to work. The temple's still there. It's still going on to this day, somehow or other. So, you know that saying, like, jump off the cliff and the net will follow. So when devotees say, I don't trust Kṛṣṇa if I do this, that he will be there to help me. And I'll say, well, that's not fair because you haven't given him a chance, right? So give him a chance. Jump off the I don't know if he's going to have the net. Well, jump off the cliff. That's the only way you'll find out. You know, so I think Maharaj is the king of jumping off the cliff. I think he loves to jump off the cliff. And he always finds out, yeah, the net's always there, right? Isn't it? Yeah. Like sometimes faith can only be built by testing Krishna's faith. Like it's really interesting in the Gita. Krishna says, you know, manmana bhava madbhakto majiji mamnaskuru mame vaishasi satyante pratijani piyosime. Krishna's saying, like, I know you don't believe me when I say this. You just, you know, worship me, be my devotee. Think of me, and I'll take you back to God. And we're like, yeah, right. You know, I'm not qualified. He's not going to do it. So Krishna has to say, I promise you, because I know you don't trust me. Wow. Did you ever notice that verse? He's saying, I promise you. Basically, he's saying, I promise you, you can trust my word. Don't worry. So I always think, okay, well, I may not have faith, but how will my faith become strong? I'll test him. I'll say, okay, Kṛṣṇa, you said you will take care of me. I'm going to jump off the cliff. If you're true to your words, you'll catch me, and if you catch me, then I have faith. And so, you know, we can do things we're not qualified to do. And Prabhupada always said that. I'm not qualified. He always said that, you know. Anyway, Maharaj is going to elaborate.
I can't elaborate on your words. This is a positive statement, is that we were in Rome one time, and this topic came up, and Prabhupada said, along with the instruction of the spiritual master comes the ability to execute it.
Right.
So we feel fallen, but the mission has to go on, and if we step up to the service, then we can hope and expect the qualification will come. Another time Prabhupada was speaking about how devotees come to Krishna consciousness because of past pious activity. So one disciple said, Prabhupada, I don't want to tell you my history, but I wasn't pious at all. So Prabhupada commented, he said, yes, I created your pious activity. So,
and I think, you know, obviously Prabhupada's example of coming to the West, you know, that was total dependence, you know. But I think maybe even a better answer might be, it doesn't matter, just try. That's what matters. Like, better try and fail than fail and not try. I think that's better, because that's what Prabhupada sees. Like when I see this picture of Prabhupada going on the Jaladutta, to me, that picture says so much, because Prabhupada, in his own joking way, said, why didn't you go to London? He said, well, my godbrother went to London and failed. So I thought, well, if I'm going to fail, might as well fail in another country. So I asked some senior devotees, I said, do you think that Prabhupada knew what the future would be? And they said, no. He was doubtful. He was very doubtful if he could do this. And many of the godbrothers said, around like 72, 73, 74, Prabhupada was amazed at how big ISKCON was. It astonished him that it was that successful. So I think that's such a good example, and the focus on trying is really important. Yes?
Sometimes I'm also questioning, why do I want mercy? What does it really represent to me? Is it like an aspirin just going to remove my pain? Or am I looking for something much greater than that? Because I could just take an aspirin, right? Yeah. Maybe it wouldn't last as long, but it would be something like that. But so I have to go deeper and try to question, what is that mercy that I'm looking for, that I'm praying for?
Yeah, 100%. And, it's interesting, your point, because it's kind of like Prabhupada came and said, this is what you want, this is what you should go for, prema. He's kind of telling us. Or if it's not prema, then it's like, at least qualify yourself through my instructions to go back to Godhead in this lifetime. That's what I want. So at least I want enough mercy that I can follow Prabhupada's instructions well enough that I can go back to Godhead, because that's what he wants from me. So that's like bottom line, right? Minimal. And devotees, they sometimes question, well, is that a bad desire? If Prabhupada wants you to go back to Godhead, how could that be a bad desire? And your spiritual master wants you to go back to Godhead. So it's like, everyone wants you to go except maybe one person. So if everyone else wants you to go, maybe you should want it also. What do you think? Good idea? Anything else? Yes. Yeah. Whoever gets the mic will speak.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, you said that when we chant the holy name, we should ask Kṛṣṇa for help before that. So my question is that before we ask Kṛṣṇa for help, is it okay that if we think ourselves as low, and if we pray to Kṛṣṇa that I have no attraction to your name? So
I'm what?
I have no attraction to your name.
Yes, yes.
So is that also being humble?
Yeah, it's being real. I am Mahaprabhu, I have no attraction. So if I actually honestly feel that I have no attraction, that's going to want me to pray to Kṛṣṇa to give me attraction. It's also going to want me to pray. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, you should be remorseful for all the bad rounds you chanted. So I have no attraction. Kṛṣṇa, I feel bad. You're beautiful. I have no attraction. Chant a few rounds and lament that I don't have an attraction. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. Do you know, this is so interesting. When Thakur Haridas one time met Mahaprabhu, you know what he prayed for? This is inconceivable. He prayed for an attraction to chant the holy name. Meditate on that for a few lifetimes. If you want to understand humility. The person who's chanting 192 rounds feels like he has no attraction. What to speak of ourselves. And if we get a little attraction, what mercy that is. Just thank the holy name, thank Prabhupada, you've given me a little attraction. And then you ever get a little attraction for chanting? Of course. Just be grateful. Wow, what mercy. Is that okay? Yeah. Humility, some people ask, well, what is humility? Like he was saying, is that humility? Humility means to be real. You are very real. That's being humble. Humility doesn't mean to think you're lower than a worm and stool. That's not real. You don't feel like that. We feel like, I need to feel people are better than me, but I feel I'm better than many people. That's being real. But when you acknowledge it, that's being humble. Because humble is real. I acknowledge I don't feel lower than a worm and stool. And I probably won't for a long time because I'm not on that level. But at least if I acknowledge it, that's humility because I'm acknowledging where I'm at. Right? Yeah. Yes.
Prabhu, as Rukmani, she was remembering Kṛṣṇa, she said she has heard about Kṛṣṇa, but she has never seen him.
Right.
But when she was coming from the temple, and she felt that Kṛṣṇa is there, present there. So how these things comes in our mind?
In our mind. Or how should we understand that? Oh, because she's Rukmini. Krishna's eternal wife. And expansion of Satyabhama. Expansion of Chandravali. So, yeah. This is transcendental Leela. But I think how we would take it is, if I hear about Kṛṣṇa and continually hear about Kṛṣṇa and hear, then I will also fall in love with him and I will see him, feel him and see him. Prabhupada said you can feel Kṛṣṇa when you're chanting. So I'll be able to feel him more when I chant, or feel the deity, right? Feel Kṛṣṇa and the deity. That's how I would take it. Hearing every day about Kṛṣṇa. That's what we do. Bhaktivinoda Maharaji said, He said, some people think you hear to become purified. He said, but beyond that, you hear to relish, to taste, to feel, because that's powerful, right? I think we should stop, right? I'm going to break my reputation in Vrindavan and stop kind of on time, which I never have done before. But we're going out today with a group of us, so we have to end anyway. Thank you very much for coming. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai.